Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know what you're thinking. It's been so long. I know. Trust me, I know. So bear with me in this video because it might be a little hit and miss just because it's been so long since I've sat down and filmed a video that I'm not used to filming anymore. So I'm kind of like having to jump back into it and get comfortable sitting in front of a camera again, blah 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 blah. Today's video is going to be a dupe for dewy skin, I guess. Dupe? No? I haven't quite figured out what I'm gonna call this video yet, but today's video is going to be a matte version of dewy skin. I can't use a dewy finish foundation just because it breaks up on me right away. Especially like if it's summertime, you can forget that, girl, because it's gone in like 5 minutes. So if you want to see how I got this dewy look using mostly matte products, we're gonna go ahead and jump on into the video. Okay, so to start out today's look, we're gonna start out just like we would any other face, but today I'm gonna be using the Pores No More Pore Refiner Primer by Dr. Brandt, and this claims to minimize the look of pores, absorb oil, and mattify shine. So especially whenever I don't use all matte everything on my face, I do tend to get like a little bit oily in the T-zone. I'm not oily, but I do have like dry skin around the perimeter of my face, and then the T-zone is where I will get a little bit combination, I guess you would call it. So this primer is supposed to actually absorb oil off of your face throughout the day. And I did purchase this primer last summer, but I haven't got to use it a ton just because I really only need to use it in the summer, or unless I'm gonna do a look like this where I need extra mattifying, because like I said, I'm not like super oily. But when we're gonna be not super setting everything down, I do need something to help control the oil. So I'm just gonna put that in the areas that I have the most problem with getting shiny. So now that we're all primed, we're actually gonna go in with a second product. I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Master Strobing Liquid, and I actually picked this up also last summer. I picked this up so I could use it for a drugstore haul that I filmed, it was my back to school makeup tutorial that I used it for. I'm not a huge fan of this for what it's actually meant for, to be a cream highlight. I put it on my cheeks and it actually was a little bit harder to blend out. It is a little bit of a thicker formula, but I actually have been using this as like a dupe for the MAC strobe cream or something like that. So I'm just gonna take a little dot of this, like that's actually probably too much, and I'm just going to put this on the high points of my face. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my beauty blender and a little bit of my MAC Fix Plus, and I'm just going, this was already damp, but I'm just going to kind of re-dampen it a little bit and just kind of squeeze off the excess so you're not like super watery. And then I'm just gonna use that to pat that strobe cream in. Okay, and for my foundation, I'm just gonna grab my favorite matte foundation. I'm gonna be using the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Foundation. This is my favorite foundation I think I've ever tried, which I haven't tried that many I've tried quite a few foundations, and this is my favorite so far. It goes on so lightweight. It dries down pretty much completely powder matte, but it's so lightweight, it's crazy, and it gives you super full coverage. So I'm gonna take that beauty blender that I just sprayed with that Fix Plus, so we don't really need to spray anymore, and I'm just gonna put this on like normal. next for concealer, we're just going to take my good old trusty Tarte Shape Tape. I don't think I'll ever use another concealer ever. The day that I stop using this, you will know it is a bomb concealer that replaces this. But I'm just going to go ahead and put that on like normal also. Now that I have all of my creams and liquids down, I'm going to go ahead and take my Derma Blend Loose Translucent Powder in the shade Original. And I'm actually, which I know this is dewy, this is supposed to be a glowy tutorial. We're getting there, I promise. I personally cannot do straight dewy foundations just because throughout the day, they will leave me like no other. I will be at work with a dewy foundation, even though I set it completely with matte powder. My chin will break up, my nose will be gone. It'll be completely red. So I am just not a person that can get by with doing actual dewy skin. So I'm just gonna set all of the places that I usually would. If you have trouble with the little corners of your nose staying in place or rubbing off throughout the day, I always take my little, I think this is the Cake and Bake Sponge by Veramona, and I just take that flat side around the edges of my nose, and it does wonders. Now that I have the areas down that I would usually bake, and I pretty much did, I put a pretty solid layer of powder down. I'm just going to take my big fluffy Morphe GO powder brush and just what's left in the cap of my powder, and I'm just going to take that and set the rest of the face. But if you are a person that does get super oily, like all over your cheeks and your forehead and all things like that, you can go ahead and feel free to completely bake your entire face. I'm just more dry on the perimeters of my face, so I don't need to do that. Okay, so while that bake is setting, I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyebrows. I'm gonna be using the Precisely My Brow in shade number 4. This is my new favorite brow pencil ever. I don't have as much brow hair as I would like, so I don't really have the luxury of just using a brow powder or like a just little comb through color, because I have to like completely build one. Okay, so now that the brows are on, we can go ahead and take our big powder brush and just dust off all of that excess powder. I'm gonna go ahead and take my MAC Fix Plus again, and I'm just gonna set all of that down. I'm gonna apply a pretty fair amount of it, and then I'm just gonna take either a damp beauty blender, a puff like this, and I'm just going to press all of that into the skin. And I love to do this step. I do this to my makeup either way, no matter if I'm gonna do matte, if I'm gonna do somewhat glowy. I always press it in just because it kind of takes that powderiness away, and it kind of brings a little bit more life back to your skin. Okay, so now that that's all set down, I'm gonna go ahead and take my beauty blender again and just spray it down again, and then just kind of bounce that between my hands to make sure it's not too wet. And then I'm going to take my Superstay Maybelline Better Skin Powder, and I'm going to actually dip my beauty blender into this and just get a little bit on there, and I'm just gonna start patting it all over. And then, of course, I'm gonna take my Fix Plus again, but then this time I'm just gonna spray it. Ooh, she's running low. I'm almost out. Okay, so next to bronze, I'm just gonna take my Hoola bronzer by Benefit and my Morphe M105 brush. And I know you're probably thinking I'm crazy because it still looks like I'm really, really matte. We're getting there. Trust the process. We're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there! I promise. I know you're probably thinking through this whole video, this girl's crazy. She's teaching me how to do all matte face. I came here for a glow. You made it. We're here. Hallelujah. This is the step in the routine that makes all the difference. I know, because right now, to most of you, to me, to everybody on the planet, I have a matte face right now. I mean, you can't deny it. And also, I forgot to say at the beginning of the video, when you do this step, the strobing liquid, you can use as much of this or as little of this as you want to. Usually, if I was going for, this is kind of like a semi-glow, if I wanted to be really, really glowy, like if it was the summertime and I was gonna be on vacation and I wanted to be like super glowy, you could actually just use this all over your face. I just don't really like the look of an extreme glow on myself, just because I like my glow to be really controlled. I don't like to look greasy and all of that kind of stuff. But once again, you do you. So I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna get to the point. I promise, we're here. I'm going to yet again take my beauty blender and spray a little bit more of that Fix Plus on there. Then I'm going to take my, this is the face palette. I believe that this is, yeah, this was a limited edition, but I'm going to be using the shade Champagne Pop by Becca, and it is still available, but I'm going to dip into it with my beauty blender, and then just on the back of my hand, I'm going to dust a little bit of it off, and then I'm going to just pat it into my skin. and that is gonna give you the most radiant, like dewy glow. And I actually take that all over the apples of my cheeks, all over the high points. So for the last step of this, I'm going to take my Milani Baked Blush in the shade Luminoso. And I love this blush. I have for quite a while because it has a subtle sheen to it, but not enough to like, it doesn't look glittery, it doesn't look anything like that, it doesn't look shiny. It's just enough to give you a little bit of a youthful glow. Go ahead and finish off my eyes and my lips off of camera, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so this is it for our completed look. I personally absolutely love how this has turned out. This is just how I go about it. If this isn't enough of a glow for you, go ahead and feel free to stick to your dewy finish foundations. Do what works for you. But for me, someone that has an oily T-zone, I can't quite get away with it. So I think that this is a pretty good, I guess, dupe for dewy skin, and I absolutely love how it turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!